Welcome everybody to episode 7 of the You Can't Comp This NBA podcast. This week we are joined by Chrälie from Cherry Collectables. He drops by and has a great chat about Cherry's history, how the Fanatics takeover will affect the hobby in Australia, a Topps Chrome recap, and what his holy grail card is. Please like and subscribe to our socials here. Instagram, You Can't Comp This, Twitter, You Can't Comp This, Gmail, youcantcompthis@gmail.com, Facebook, You Can't Comp This podcast. We hope you enjoy the show.
Okay, and now we have a very special guest on the podcast. I think it's our first guest, Russell. It's Chrälie from Cherry. Chrälie, thanks for joining us. How are you on this fine evening?
G'day, guys. Yeah, I'm well. Thank you for having me on. I was excited to see your message the other night. Yeah, it's something that I'm trying to do this year is join people's podcasts or try to get guests to come and talk with us, just to give a bit of variation because it gets a bit boring.
Yeah, sure.
I think talking or listening to me and Grayson talk about cards. So I thought, yeah, fantastic. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, rather than reach out to G, we thought we'd have a chat with yourself. I've been a while since I've seen Grace, and I guess with lockdown, it's difficult to sort of catch up with people. But Cherry's going great at the moment, by the sound of it, through the pandemic, so to speak.
Yeah, it's been a really busy couple of years, probably since around the end of 2019 would have been the beginning of things getting pretty busy. Like in comparison to when I started helping Grayson with some of the social media back in 2015, it was pretty quiet. It was a pretty core group of collectors who were keeping the dream alive from the 90s. A lot of them. There wasn't a lot of new people coming into the hobby. It was sort of the same hardcore people. Yeah, throughout 2019, we started noticing month on month that numbers were trending up. Month after month, there'd be more people coming to the website, more traffic, more new people in breaks. They're sort of saying in the chat that this is the first time that they're going in a break, so that was happening more. And then throughout 2020, in the in the first quarter of 2020, it really went crazy. And then it seems to have settled maybe the last 6 months, something like that.
And once we became veterans of lockdowns and whatnot, and sort of learning to live in this new, predominantly online world, I guess.
And don't be modest, how much of that was like your media influence as opposed to the upswing that we went through?
Oh, look, that's very kind, but I think the biggest impact would be that the most important thing that happened would be some of the extra stuff that Blake started doing during that time.
Yeah.
The way that he started engaging people, not that he wasn't before then, but the extra breaks he started doing twice a day, which started filling up. All of the extra work behind the scenes that we don't see Grayson doing to manage to land product here in Australia is, I couldn't do it. Like he basically works, I think, probably like 80% of the day, because he has to try and make sure he gets the morning in on American time, so that he can answer emails, get on the phone to because if he doesn't, especially at the beginning of 2020 when people really went into lockdown, it was like, well, guys, what about if we don't have any cards to sell anybody because we actually can't get them landed here? So that sort of work
So essentially, he was full-time procuring stock, was he?
Yeah, he. That's a full time job.
Yeah,
Just
interesting.
procuring, doing
Yeah,
that, and it's all from the same places that everybody buys from. You know, he buys from Descartes World and Blowout and all of those big guys over there. So it's really just that side of it, as well as that extra work
and
that
sorry to interrupt again. This is
yeah
like the
yeah.
classic GIF versus GIF question. So you call
Hmm.
it the car world. I always say DA card world.
Oh, okay. I've just always known it as Descartes World. I mean,
It's
it's
David
Dave Adams,
Adams.
isn't it? So
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I just
is it
pronounce.
GIF or GIF? What do you say that one?
I always say GIF.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm a GIF man.
yeah,
So
I'm GIF too. Okay, at
yeah.
least we can agree on something then. That's all right. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah. So
Well,
that Blake's work on the brakes, G's work making sure that there was actually literally stuff to sell. Um, Dale with the amazing job he does on eBay and the singles team, and then Josh and his team getting all the cards and all the orders out the door. That in that shop, in that tiny shop in Melbourne,
yeah.
was a big feat. So hopefully we've postponed a couple of weeks now. It looks like the new location, which is not far from the King Street store in Melbourne,
yeah,
should be open next week.
yeah,
Oh, that's fantastic news.
Mm.
That's huge. And I mean, look, from relatively humble beginnings too, as you said, like things. And I don't know the full story. Maybe you can give us some background.
Mm.
Cherry really sort of just popped onto the scene. As far as my experience goes, started seeing
Yep.
sort of Grayson pop up on Facebook Live,
Yep.
and yeah, it was a. I mean, I worked with Grayson years back at PAX. We shared a stand with
Okay.
my game store, so it was so some good experiences. Blake was like the work experience kid back
Yeah. Yeah.
then,
Yeah.
and I suppose humble beginnings to one of the premier stores in the country as far as sports cards go.
Yeah, that's right. That was some of the stuff that does with the live streams, which he hasn't been doing actually the last few months, which is disappointing. Which I'm going to have to bring up with him tomorrow. That we need more of the G live streams. Um, all of that sort of content um, that I put together, that I get out of Grayson, that I get out of Blake, came from the necessity uh, uh, of that time
Yep.
when the lockdowns hit, and it was like, well, we actually don't have much product, so we're really going to have to squeeze every moment out of the live streams.
Yeah.
Um, if Blake pulls a card, we're going to need it in this style of clip and that Instagram story and that TikTok. And same if Grayson says something, particularly inflammatory on one of his live streams, um, like he hates comps or something like that. Like,
Yeah.
that's a clip that I can use, in a short, a 30-second or a 1 minute video, and then it can be a tweet on Twitter, then it can be screenshotted and posted over on Instagram, and that starts an argument in the comments and gets everybody talking about that. So those sorts of those moments became more important because it was like, well, if we don't milk all these eyeballs that we have currently,
Yep.
and if we don't use all this content we're creating in the live streams, then we might not have much else to post.
Yeah.
interesting.
So I sort of went into overdrive and just became the content machine.
So what's your official title at Cherry?
I think I'm the marketing manager.
Yeah, and is that your
Yep.
Yeah.
background?
Yes. Well, I changed from teaching to marketing a
Wow.
few years ago. When was that? 2015, I think. Yeah. 2015, changed from teaching to marketing. I was okay high school teaching. I didn't really enjoy. I thought I would enjoy it, and I didn't really very much.
Yeah.
I ended up teaching English as a second language for migrants, and that I really enjoyed. I was
Yeah.
quite good at that, but I really didn't have the patience for high school kids. Not a lot of people do. I don't know how.
Exactly.
I don't know how the guys, my former colleagues still do it, but they still do it.
Yeah.
But the adult migrant English teaching, yeah, I really enjoyed that. I did that for quite a while, and then moved into marketing after we sort of the school where I was teaching at lost the contract that we had for the
Yep.
program we delivered, and so I just thought, it was time for a change anyway.
Yeah.
And I was enjoying using social media, and I'd sort of been doing some, free work for Grayson on the side, and started doing that part time for him in 2015, and then worked with a local agency down here for a short time, and then went full time for Cherry in 2019.
Yep.
Nice.
Interesting.
Nice.
I like to hear people's stories of like how they got there, and I suppose also why they got there.
Yeah.
Do you think that there was anything particular in like sports or trading cards that sort of drew you towards that?
Well, Grayson and I had been collectors when we were kids. So it was that we'd always sort of, we've always collected stuff, whether it was cards in the early 90s when we were kids growing up sort of down the road from each other.
What was your first packet you opened?
That would have been, it would have been some 92, 93 Upper Deck.
Interesting.
We were talking about that on the last episode. I remember that
Yes.
set very fondly. Yes.
Yeah. That's one of the things I took away from that episode. I was like, that Jordan card, man. Like, if you pulled that card, you were the king of school that day. Like,
that's exactly right. That was,
you were like the cool. You were like, oh, you got to check out that card that he pulled. He pulled the Jordan. Oh, sick.
You could. It didn't matter if you had the inserts. Actually, no. The Jordan triple double. Was it the Jordan triple double? That insert was insane. Yeah. But that was better than most of the other inserts you could get out of that set.
It was insert
Jordan.
Yeah.
Our listeners can't see this, but your two eyes at the moment are just like got this extra bit of sparkle in it. It's actually like it's quite sweet to see you two like reminiscing like this.
Yeah, so those basketball cards. Whew.
Those that era, it was heightened, I think, by just that popularity of Jordan, him becoming that global icon, the dream team, of course, with Barcelona, the Olympics.
Yeah.
Then Shaq comes on the scene, and it was just so captivating. And I basically quit collecting, I think, right when I shouldn't have. I think I quit collecting in about 95 or 96, just before Kobe starts playing. So I just flick through my folders, like, if only I'd gone like an extra year, I would have had all these Kobe rookies. But yeah, then Grayson picked up collecting again, or cards again, in sort of, I think, 2012, 2013, as he was sort of looking for work around Melbourne. He'd moved over from Tassie, and he started actually with Blu-rays, importing like US Blu-rays, like US versions of movies, or movies that you couldn't get here at the time.
So that niche, hard to find kind of.
Yes.
When Blu-rays weren't, I suppose, a wall at JB Hi-Fi. It was only a small section, I guess.
That's right, yeah. Yep. And so it was sort of Region 1 stuff, or is it Region A, they call it in Blu-rays? Anyway, it was stuff you couldn't get here, and he would bring them over. And then I think he saw some new Prism or maybe some of the older Topps basketball stuff at a market, and he looked that up on the net, and he couldn't find anything in Australia. So he just started buying some boxes and cases of stuff just from US retailers, just online retailers, and busting it for himself, or selling it to his mates around Melbourne, and then people started saying, "Hey, could you open that box for me? I'll buy the box, and record it for me, and then post it on YouTube." Or I think there was even like one of the old MSN messengers had video or something, and so he had to use that for
Wow.
for some of it, because it was something that it was like one or two people were doing it on forums in the States. We're sort of doing it. Wasn't a live break yet. It was a group break, because the internet was not the broadband wasn't strong enough.
Yeah.
You paid for your spot, and then the breaker recorded the entire thing without any editing, obviously, and then uploaded the video later, which is what Grayson. If you go back to some of the first videos on our Cherry YouTube channel, that's what some of those first ones are. They're like, oh, this is the break for Joe Blow. He's bought a box of X, and I'm just uploading the video here for you so you can
Oh,
watch it
wow.
later. So it didn't happen live.
Do you know who the godfather of breaking is? Like, who's like accredited as the first person to do it?
I'm not sure, but Grayson would know, but if Grayson isn't in the top 5 earliest people worldwide, I would be surprised.
Still being top 5 all time's not too shabby, is it though? Really?
Yeah, he would have to be one of the earliest people on the planet, I think, to have been doing group breaks like that, and in the volume that he would do them.
That's a T-shirt, I reckon. Like,
Yep.
Yeah.
He's definitely got a Hall of Fame induction coming up for breaking, for sure.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
Let's not inflate his ego too much.
No, we don't need to do that. So I think after the when he starts up the breaks, it's again still a very niche thing with a hardcore sort of group of collectors.
Yeah.
It grows sort of enough for him to start a store in 2015. Was the first store down in.
Is that the one in Docklands?
Yes, down in Docklands.
I remember that very fondly. I used to park it under Etihad too.
Yes, yeah. You could park under there and come up and see Grace. And I think there were a lot of very quiet days in that store.
Yes,
where he would have nearly. I know he very nearly packed it up for on some occasions in that period, which would have been a shame, because we know what happened in sort of towards the end of 2019 when people sort of came back to it, and new people came to it, and the King Street, we very quickly outgrew the King Street location, and we've been there way too long, and we're finally out. Much
I was
to
going to say that's
relief.
the downside of a pandemic, I guess.
Yeah. Look,
makes
the
moving
struggle,
difficult.
and
Yeah,
I wasn't sure. When we started thinking about it, and it was looking like that was what's going to happen at the beginning of 2020, I thought, people are going to have not as much money. They're not going to be spending money on cards. That's going to be way down the list. And it turns out that wasn't the case. I know. Perhaps,
quite the opposite, right?
Yeah, perhaps more people managed to stay in work than was expected, and with less options, people found new ways to spend money, I think.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, if we're not out socializing and going out and doing things like tourism, holidays, etc., we've got a lot more income to blow on collectibles and cracking packs, so to speak.
Yeah,
we all know what addicts we can be when we want products as well.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, so
Have we do we delve into some personal questions, Russell, or do we continue down the?
Yeah, if you're gonna do another couple more, mate, I can wait a bit. It's
That's
no
all right.
trouble.
I was
Yeah,
so we've talked about Cherry through the pandemic.
yeah,
Um, now we're sort of out of. We're not obviously through the pandemic, but we're at the point where I suppose people are allowed to leave their house for a change, and
mm.
Cherry's opening in a new location. Is there further expansion on the cards? I believe there was a store opened in Tassie recently.
Yes, yeah. So Grayson and I are in that store. Grayson's
Yep.
moved back to
Yep.
uh, over to Taz with his family, so that's great. And we're actually it's going to be the first official day tomorrow in the
Oh,
Hobart
nice.
store, which will be fun. So the move to the new location in Melbourne, which is still in the CBD, is well overdue. That's going to be fantastic, just from a fulfillment perspective, to actually have space to actually pick and pack everything.
Yep.
And then there's going to be a pretty good sized retail area at the front for everyone, for collectors to enjoy there, to be able to go back through the long boxes, the $5 boxes, the $20, the $50, all of that stuff that's had to sit in storage for the last almost 2 years.
So is that coming back to Melbourne too, or just Tassie?
No, that will be at the Melbourne one. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that sort of the main fulfillment area will be Melbourne. There'll be a good sized retail area. That's where the breaks will happen. That's where the singles team, Dale and Tabby and Damo, will be working out of there full time. So it's a really good sized place, and hopefully it sets us up for quite a while to just be in that space and fit it out how we like it, rather than trying to fit, you know, you've already got boxes up to the ceiling and then a truck arrives with another couple of pallets of
Yeah.
Pokemon cards. It's like, where are we going to put this lot? I don't know.
Oh God, yeah, that King Street location was we'll say cramped to say the least.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, not great. The Hobart store is a smaller, definitely like a diet experience of the Melbourne store.
Sort of
We
like the
don't.
light version of the Cherry app, we'll call it.
Yes, yeah, that's right. It's going to be well. We've got nice big retail space in the front. We've got some space for collectors to bust cards or trade. We're going to have trade nights there. We've got plenty of graded stuff if you want to buy graded, but we've also got lots of singles that you can go through in the boxes.
Yeah.
We'll get a slice of all the new stuff that comes out as well. So I think we've got the brand new hoops in store, and we'll get some stock in from every release, but it won't be much. And then in the back, we're building out a studio to make the podcast look a bit better, for
Nice.
Grayson to sort of jump onto live streams in a cleaner way, and a little bit of storage just to make sure we don't have huge. Some of those Pokemon collections are really large and come
Yeah.
in enormous boxes, and just like there's like 10 hoops boxes in this, and in this thing there's two of those Pokemon collections. It's nuts how
That's
big some of
insane.
them run. So that's going to be a sort of a more easygoing experience. It'll be less busy in the Hobart store, and it's going to be fun to start having people come through the door tomorrow.
Yeah,
Awesome.
definitely. I have fond memories of coming and looking through like the $5, $10 boxes, and it's just being able to get into a store again is a pleasant change, and it'll be nice just for the world to sort of go back to normal, so to speak.
Yeah, and it's a vital thing for the hobby in general. Is the store experience, wherever your store is, whether it's a sports card store or the local Yu-Gi-Oh hangout, the Pokemon place. It
It's the
helps.
online experience versus the in-person experience is vastly
Yes,
different.
yeah, that's true, and it helps. Very importantly, it helps money move around
Yep.
the hobby rather than sort of money and cards staying in people's collections or staying in people's wallets or whatever. The
Yeah.
stores are able to buy and sell and trade, and if you've got a local store that you can go to and okay, I've got that stack of cards there that's probably worth 50, $100. I can take that into the store. I can turn it into cash, and then I can buy a box of that new stuff that I'd rather have.
Yeah, exactly. And then, I mean, obviously, the in-store experience is the regular experience. Obviously, we're all probably going to catch up at the hobby hangout. And,
Yes.
and conventions like that are going to be great. But I think having that regular, your local hangout, your local store is very important, even
Mm,
in this sort of isolated day and age where there are capacity limits and whatnot. But
yeah.
yeah, it's being able to exchange stories and experiences with like-minded people, with other collectors. It's important.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
I
Yeah.
like the idea of the traders' night. Is there one that's in a Melbourne that you know of that's already been established? Because
No, no,
I
I don't.
think
I don't. There must be one.
maybe
Somebody
EJ's.
posted one in our Facebook group. Actually, I think it might have already happened. But yeah, there must be. There must be trade nights sort of organised.
Oh, look, I know there are groups out that try and make different social events and things
Yeah.
around in and around Melbourne. Yeah, I guess there's so many different groups on Facebook and things. It's hard to pinpoint who's where
Mm,
and I mean that's why I guess the hobby hangouts the clear. This has been advertised a lot and it's going to go around the country. But yeah, definitely,
mm,
if people do know about a local, I suppose, trading day or anything like that, it's one of those. Use those Facebook groups. Get on and tell
mm.
people about it
Well,
because
tell us about it. That'd be awesome.
yeah,
I'd love to.
I'd like to
Yeah,
know and get
yeah,
down with a folder or a case full of cards and
Mm.
do a few trades and
yeah.
maybe make a couple of bucks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I've got a bit of a side question. We've recently been doing the sort of covered in five parts, the Josh Luber, what do you call it, a manifesto. The trading cards are cool
Oh,
again.
yes. Yeah, yeah,
That
yeah.
that 50-page document. Now,
Yeah.
so have you had a read of that by any chance?
Yes. Yeah.
Now, what impact do you see for both Cherry and the Australian card market when with this information to hand? I suppose once fanatics take over, do you think it means good things for Australia, or it's just more wishy washy? Whatever's happening overseas, and are we actually in for a positive time, or are we just going to be the forgotten continent?
Yeah, I can feel a bit like that sometimes.
It is a little bit.
Especially when you start, if you want to land something and then it's, taxes and shipping and GST and, and then and then the shipping company might even send you a bill for something and you're like, what the is that about? Like,
Yeah, customs decided they
didn't
want
I,
a piece of the
yeah,
pie.
didn't I pay that before? It's like, no, buddy, we need a slice as well.
No, Steve on the docks wants an extra $500 or he's not letting it go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it can sort of. I think that's all sort of international collectors. I know the collectors in Europe and the UK say exactly the same thing. That sort of um, all the extras that you've got to pay. I think even some of the guys in Canada get all those extra duties put on.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
extra duty. Yeah.
Which the Americans are always able to tease Canadians about. I no, I don't think we'll be. I don't think we'll be left behind. Not in any sense. It's going to be. It's exciting. Number one, because they are they are so enormous and have made such a large investment that they are just they are going to bring, I think, so many new people and more people to collecting, which is vital, for a hobby.
Especially a
Um,
hobby that has a supply demand element to it.
Yes, yeah. If you don't have the new people coming in at the bottom, then you have a problem. You have a very set sort of expiry date if you don't have
Yeah,
that
for sure.
coming in. So Fanatics and their new division led by Josh Luber running the card side of things is going to bring, I think, so many eyeballs, so much attention to cards that's just going to be fantastic. It's going to be so exciting to see what they do.
Yeah,
It's it's going to be it's going to be interesting to see what they end up doing with in terms of distribution. What do they do for that side of things? Because it is historically, I think, as far as I know, for Fanatics, a strength of theirs that they do a lot of
yeah,
that themselves.
That's their
yep.
brand, essentially, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. So they are able to, they ship it around themselves. That side of things will be new.
And it's
Whatever
been a
they,
weakness, I guess, a weakness of the hobby. So yeah, for someone
yeah,
that's got a strength in that area to come on board, yeah,
Well,
yeah. That's right.
it's an unregulated distribution system at the moment. It's like each company will do it differently.
yeah. So and you need to develop if you're a store, you need to develop relationships with as many of those distributors as you can to make sure you've got that supply, whether it's the local people, whether it's whoever you need to get onto in the states to make sure that you're able to have product so that you're not sitting there looking at empty shelves. So that side of things will be new, whatever they decide to do there. For hobby stores, established hobby stores who are on top of things in terms of internet, social media, that sort of thing. I think if you're already in that position, then you're probably in a strong position, and you have. If you aren't, then you have a few years to sort that out and make sure that you are online, that you not invisible on these social media platforms. Because I think the people who are potentially in trouble are retailers who have ignored that up to now, and or they are a breaker who is essentially just a pair of hands in front of a phone screen. Those
yeah,
those guys, if they're not doing extra stuff and it's literally just fingers and unwrapping packs on a screen, uh, I tend to think, I don't know, if I'm Josh Luber and I'm looking at that, then I'm thinking, well, why would we send that guy product if all he's doing is really easy to put together breaks? I could send that to this store over here who's shouting about it on social media, who's got a Facebook group, etc., etc. Those the people who are have ignored sort of social and internet so far, and the people who are not developing a community are the ones who are potentially in trouble. I think in a post fanatics world.
well, what do they say? Fortune favors the bold. So yeah, get out there and you really just work up your social media. Make sure you've diversified your the way you communicate with the world. You want to be online, you want to be in person, you want to be entertaining, engaging, and yeah. Otherwise, there will be people that will do that. Is yeah,
That's
and that's
right.
what
Yeah.
and that's what
Yeah.
the manifesto kind of alludes to.
Yes. Yeah. It was interesting to see that he thought that the market was near the middle of its
Yeah,
sort of. I think that's where he got to in the conclusion of his essay,
yeah,
Yeah,
where
we spoke
he's
about that a lot. Actually, are you talking about the baseball picture of the innings?
yes, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, so that was interesting. I was interested to see that he didn't think that we were still that he didn't think we were earlier than that. That was what I would have said is that we
yeah.
were not as far
I think he
as
said
that
that
along.
the number of people in the hobby is at the third innings. Profit margins are at the sixth innings, and there was something else. There was one more thing on the screen. I can't remember what it was.
That was is it businesses or product supply? It was interesting because he said there's so much room for innovation.
Yeah.
That was like in that section. There was so much. He goes, there's so much more to work with, and I guess NFTs is something that I keep jabbing about.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's a long term thing. I don't know enough about it. I keep trying to find out more, but I keep trying to understand how and like how it applies or how they can use it in different ways. But NFTs seem to be a new product or a new way to distribute a product. So it's that could be the beginning of a form of innovation, but I don't know. They're doing. It's interesting that Fanatics are saying innovate, but they've just acquired Tops.
Yes,
So
which is a fantastic move.
Like you think about this, and we discussed this as well. We're like Tops Chrome. Who wants a Tops Chrome rookie of next year's draft class? Like the 2026, 27 draft class.
Yeah.
Are they going to bring back old school? Are they going to use the nostalgia factor of old names as well as new sets, as new products?
Well, yeah. Charlie, did you listen to last week's episode by any chance?
I did, yeah.
Did you want to rebut or reply to anything that we said?
No, I agreed. I agreed with much of what you said.
Please disagree, because I think sometimes Adam and I we're in an echo chamber on many things. Like we actually rarely have like disagreements. So
we try.
What can I add? I think that the move they've made is tremendous. I think it was something that they truly needed to do. I think had they tried to go, we're just going to call these, Brand X Fanatics basketball.
Yeah,
that would potentially have been a disaster. The only thing I think that they're missing, and I'm sure the guys at Tops are clever enough to know this and start thinking about it, is they are missing all of this. They're missing all of the investment that people have into the Panini side of things for basketball and football. The people who've come into the hobby in recent times, they don't know about Tops. They don't care about Tops Chrome. If they didn't,
this is true.
If they weren't a kid collecting Kobe in '97, and then they're like, well, that's like granddad's cards,
Yeah, for sure.
Why would I want Tops Chrome back? When you see this in Facebook or Insta, wherever it is, in comments, people getting into it, oh, it's going to be fantastic, Tops Chrome's going to be back, and I'm thinking, yeah, well, it's going to be good for you, but there's a lot of people who've joined recently, and they're like, well, I don't care about Tops.
They're like, what is a Tops Chrome? And they're like,
exactly, what is it? I want Prism, so that is going to be something for Tops and the Fanatics team to overcome. I'm sure they'll be able to do it. They've got plenty of time to do it, but that's going to be a problem.
Yeah, I think what I was alluding to last week was very much. I feel like Fanatics they're playing chess. Yes. And there's a lot of companies out there, I think, that are just playing checkers. I don't know what Panini's going to be up to, but I know this is one of many moves that Fanatics are going to make, and I think they're going to make a play at some big stuff. This is only the beginning. They're moving pawns around at the moment.
I'm sure. The rumor has been going around for a while that Panini has been on the chopping block. It's been up for grabs. Yeah. So that is not a secret. They have still some very nice licenses. They are not dead in the water. They just grabbed WWE. They have UFC. They have plenty of soccer.
Yep.
That's a lot of people. That's a lot of cards. That's a lot of money. So all of that's not a oh, well, Panini's dead. We all hate Panini.
No, they're not raising. No one's
Fantastic.
raising a white flag just yet.
No way. No, definitely not. Panini are like, Captain America at the beginning of the movie. They're like, I can do this all day.
Yeah. I suppose the big
That-
question that goes over Upper Deck is the big one.
Look, if Upper Deck was picked up, that would solve a big problem for Jordan and LeBron collectors.
Yep.
That would be amazing to be able to have basketball cards, official cards of those guys again. I can't think that they would sign any more than they actually do. Like, oh, we've been bought by Fanatics, so now I'm going to sign loads of cards. I don't think that'll happen.
No,
They're not
no,
going
of
to
course, no.
magically start signing, but it would be fantastic to have, amazing looking inserts of them again.
Be nice to have
New
a
base
LeBron
cards.
auto or a Jordan auto in a Prism set.
Yeah, that would be incredible. Apparently, Upper Deck is not for sale, but if they get the right amount of money,
I was going to say everybody's got
Everything's
their
for
price,
sale.
don't they?
Yeah.
they'll just have to say, look, we can't ignore that offer. So who knows? But I think Fanatics made a fantastic move getting Tops, but they do have that hurdle of, in the past 2 years, a lot of people, especially the kids, have invested a great deal in Prism, in Panini basketball, in Panini football, and they're not necessarily going to be super excited about them now being Topps Chrome.
Yeah.
So that, but they've got a long time to think about what they need to do about that. So they'll figure it out.
Yeah. Are you happy if I do some quick hitters?
Yeah, of course.
All right. Jordan or Kobe?
Has to be Jordan.
Okay. Jordan or LeBron?
Jordan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you watch more LeBron or Jordan growing up?
It was Jordan, definitely. Yeah. Yeah, I think I was already, what was I doing when LeBron comes on the scene? I think I just started working, maybe, like my first teaching job. So I was probably too busy.
Yeah, I think I went from Jordan to Kobe.
Yeah.
And Kobe, I was older, so I had more of an appreciation. So I followed Kobe more.
Yeah, it was just.
What about the overlap between LeBron and Curry? Does Curry end up being the player of that era?
When does Curry start, though? Isn't he 10 years after LeBron?
I think it's 8, isn't it? Is it?
LeBron's been around for so long. It's hard to not really remember him.
I mean, that longevity in itself is pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Has anybody done that? I don't think. I'm pretty sure he's not going to stop playing until he beats
Kareem.
Till he beats Kareem.
Yeah.
Once that happens,
I completely agree.
Yeah.
I think he's got a different goal in mind. He said it the other week. I said this a while back, but I think his goal, LeBron's very narrative focused.
Yes.
And there's no basketballer in history that's played with their son.
Yes.
Bronny is going to get into the NBA.
How far away is he? Like
not far. It's a couple of years.
Yeah, okay.
So I think LeBron's final season will be a season where he plays on the same team as his son.
Even if he not quite good enough to get to the league,
he will sign wherever he gets drafted.
10-day contract, and they'll play a game together, and then I can actually see that happening. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So you're going to have Jordan, who's Jordan, Kobe, who won an Oscar, and LeBron, who played alongside his son. Like, all of these players are going to have their own claim, their unique story that tells their legacy.
Yeah. I guess for Steph, he is the beginning of it or not, but he is the poster boy of the current era of, you don't need to be Shaq to play basketball. You can be a pretty, for the NBA anyway, relatively shorter guy. You're not an enormous person.
Yeah.
And he is out, shooting incredible amounts of 3-pointers and just destroying teams.
Yeah. I don't know. I get this whole, the people's champion kind of vibe from Steph Curry. He's just such a personable player, like always smiling, so happy.
Yeah. Yep.
He's influenced the younger generation a lot.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, definitely. Kids absolutely love Steph Curry. You're right about that.
The juniors, it's straight away, it's Curry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's true with kids in the store too. They're always like, if a Curry card comes out, that's the best card that came out of the pack. Yeah.
I wonder if it's a little bit too the just availability of media, because I feel for me, and I sort of had this epiphany last week. I think the player of my generation is actually LeBron, because I was old enough to be able to afford League Pass, and then he's really the person I've been watching the longest. Like really, Kobe was at the sort of tail end of his career, and
Mm.
Jordan. I've got some old VHS tapes that were like Channel 10, 3 a.m. replays. But you know what I
Yep.
mean? Like
Yep.
in terms of day to
Yep.
day having someone in my face, realistically, it's been LeBron James. So
Yeah,
Yep.
that's definitely a factor. That availability of the game in this for the last sort of certainly the last 10 years, it's just been
and
so much better.
maybe for kids these days, it's Curry.
Yep.
You already told me your first packet. What was your first box that you opened?
Oh, I couldn't remember. It would probably be a box that Grayson bought when we were kids. Like that would have been because
So you were
I
doing
reckon
you were doing boxes when you were kids.
Grayson would get money for his birthday from his mum and dad, and then his grandparents, and he would go and see if he could get his dad to pay the difference at the card store. Um,
So he was a good negotiator
Cheeky.
very early on.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So that
Wheeling
would have
and
been the
dealing for a
first.
very early age.
Yeah, and that would have been like, wow,
Yeah,
this is a whole box of cards.
yeah,
Wow, yeah. But apart from something like that, I don't know. It would probably have been some old Prism box back in 2014 or 2013, something like that,
yeah,
for fun. And I would have had no clue who any of the players were.
yeah,
And just like in Grayson's apartment, so many Giannis rookies just got chucked out. Um, I would have had, no idea what I was pulling out. And
yeah,
it was a very small scene at the time. So it would have been like, well, that was interesting, but not sort of, what value came out of it. I got no idea.
yeah, yeah. Have you ever busted a personal case for yourself?
No,
Yeah,
no, never a case. But I have helped bust some in the store.
yeah.
Like crack it, like ripping product open.
What's your
Yeah.
Grail
So you do it
card?
every day.
Either that
Ooh.
you own or that hoping to get one day.
Oh, the Grail card for me, and it frustrates me because I would have seen it on eBay so many times when I was a kid, and I sort of I was like, oh, that'd be fun to have, and then just ignored it. And it would probably have been, back then, a, a $50 or $60 card. It would be it would be an Arnold Schwarzenegger autograph from the Terminator 3 set. So I don't think they didn't have any autos earlier than that for the Terminator 2 set. I love Arnold and I love stupid old sets, like Rocky cards and you know
I
um,
remember when they did it like that. Oh, the old movie cards. Yep.
yeah, movie cards. I like wrestling cards. I like stupid stuff like you won't be able to see if you're listening, but this is like a Brazilian phone card with Conan the Barbarian on it for some
Oh,
reason.
Is he wearing a hat?
Yeah, he's got like a sick barbarian headband.
yep.
If you're listening,
Oh, wow.
you can imagine that. That would be because I'm not sure what they're worth now.
Is it
Um,
priced out for you now, or is it just kind
no,
of like
it's probably
you
not. It's
haven't
probably
chased it all?
not.
Yeah,
Probably not. They didn't. I don't think there was many at all, and they just almost never appear anymore on eBay. And I
yeah,
can remember them. I can remember them in like the early 2000s on eBay and being like 50, $60 for the Arnold auto card. And it's such a dumb card, but I just love Arnold so much.
Yep.
Um, and that would be cool to have.
And what's your get to the chopper impersonation like?
Look, after a few beers watching Predator, it can get like maybe 70% of the way there.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, yeah,
That's pretty
yeah.
good.
He's my favorite.
Yeah. I want to give you a bit of a nerdier question, actually. So,
Yeah.
Clay Thompson came back a couple of days ago. What do you think his return's going to be on hobby impact for the Golden State Warriors players?
It will certainly have an impact on Clay. I think we've already had. I think we've already had a new pickup in interest around him.
Yeah.
Just after he's only had one game back, hasn't he?
Yeah, just
Yeah.
against
So there's
Cleveland. Yeah.
already it's already been people asking about Clay. Can we get that card? Do you have any, what Clay cards have you got? What big Clay cards have you got?
He's up 25% in the last 3 months. The
Yeah, okay.
last 2 weeks, he's up, about the same 24%.
Yeah, okay. Well, that correlates well. And I guess it'll have somewhat of a trickle down to others on the team. It probably won't make a huge deal of difference for somebody like Steph, who's already one of the most popular players out there.
I think it's probably going to boost Steph a little bit, to be honest, because I think it's going to give the team a lot more success.
Yeah, hopefully it would be great to see them back, doing what they do in the playoffs. That would be,
and they're going to be pretty much the same old Warriors from like 6 years ago, 7 years ago.
Yeah,
with some
It's
fresh
crazy.
legs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
young shooters.
I think it's great. Is James Wiseman still there? They didn't trade him yet?
He hasn't been traded and he hasn't played yet this season. And so that was probably the next thing I was going to lead on to. So, like, him coming back, do you think it's going to squeeze anyone's value on the downward? Because I've actually got 4 people who I think it's going to negatively affect.
Out. Yeah,
he could be. You're talking like squeezed out of the rotation, like he won't get the minutes?
Well, that is definitely, there's going to be a squeeze out. I was also thinking about like hobby value. Like, is there anyone you kind of like, would you be worried now that, Clay's come back?
No, I wouldn't. I don't watch it that closely. Probably somebody like Dale would be somebody to ask that question to, or Grayson.
No, I didn't mean to put you on the spot. It was more.
No, that's all right.
Yeah. Because I've been probably thinking about this a little bit too much the last 24 hours, but I think I think Warriors in PYTs this year are going to be the best value because I don't think they're going to be the highest priced. I probably think Detroit or Cleveland is going to be, or even Toronto, I think is going to be up there. But I think what's going to happen in terms of like rookie card value this year, Moody's going to be like really depressed, and Kuminga is also going to be because they're not going to be playing that much. But I think they've got a lot of potential there. And then in terms of like, team value and PYTs, then you've got Steph Curry and you've got Clay coming back, and then like you've
still got Draymond on the side, but
and I was going to say to a lesser degree, like even like Iguodala sort of has a little bit of sort of pinch value too. So I just think I love sort of like finding those sort of like creases of value. I just think that like because they've got 2 first-round picks plus all these star players, like it's a really weird combination that you don't normally get out of professional teams. So I think they're an interesting one. But I think in terms of like singles value, I think Kuminga's going to be squeezed like quite badly. I think. So if you're looking to sort of prospect for the next sort of 5 years, like he might be really good to be picking up in the secondary market. And same as Moody, I'll definitely like say that too. But I think Jordan Poole's value is probably going to go down this year. But
I think Pool's going to dip because of the return.
Yeah, for sure. Right?
But then he's already demonstrated that he's got a lot of upside. So
that's the thing. If you're buying him on the down and hoping that he gets traded, in a bigger deal or he becomes a starter somewhere else, like I think that's actually a really nice little play because particularly if you're a Poole boy and you're like all aboard, sort of like how I am with, other players. I think if you're watching the market and that's going down, particularly as Clay comes back, like I can see that happening for sure. So
it's going to be I don't know how Blake is looking at it this year. I know he's been thinking a lot about the teams for this year because it is a tricky one for rookies this year. It was last year was looking like it was going to be a tricky one, and then
it was clear cut, right?
And then it was clearly. There's so much interest in LaMelo. And the year before it was, the Zion and Jar year. So that was not difficult. But this year is proving, it's going to take a little while to work that out.
Yeah. Did you want to ask us any questions before we head off?
I would ask, what should we do at the Hobby Hangout? Should we do like a podcast at the Hangout live or record something there?
I think that sounds like a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
My response is the audio quality will be pretty potato. What you should do, this is what you should do, and if you don't do this, I'm actually going to be like slightly annoyed, is you need to do live breaks there. And it'd be even better if you could take your money up to the desk and be like, I want to go on a live break, and you put your cash down and then Dale sits there and busts it for you. That would be
Dale would love that.
Yeah.
You guys have got. There's going to be a Cherry stand at the Hobby Hangout, isn't there?
Yes, yeah, we'll be there. We were at the Sydney one. It was a medium tier shit show for us because half of the staff couldn't get up and half of the product couldn't get up because of a lockdown that happened just as they were all trying to leave the state. So it was just me and Dale. So we got to meet everybody in Sydney, which was great fun. So we are excited to be in Melbourne because we'll just be down the road. So we'll just be able to be more organised than the Sydney one. So yeah, we're really excited about it. We're excited to see everybody, meet everybody, sell cards, buy cards if they're coming along to sell as well. So it'll be great to see everybody there.
No, that'll be good. We'll definitely be. So I'll be testing a few microphones and seeing if we can organise something down on the day. Because look, it's a good chance for everybody to catch up. A little bit of coverage from the event itself is always going to be good for the socials.
Yeah. Awesome, guys. Thank you so much. Thanks, Charlie, for coming, mate. It was fantastic to hear all your thoughts and some of your funny stories. We really appreciate it, and we hope we can do it again sometime.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, thanks so much for having me, guys. Really enjoyed it.
Cheers, man.
It's been great. And just quickly before you do go, let us know. It's the Cherry Podcast, is it? Is that just the name of the weekly pod that you guys do?
That's what I called it. Yeah, when I was setting up the profile. Yeah, I just called it the Cherry Podcast. Extremely imaginative title. Yes, the Cherry Podcast is what it's called. If you search that on anywhere, YouTube, Google, iTunes, you'll find it. So look us up, have a listen.
Now, just I've got one that I've been keeping up the sleeve, and I should have asked it before. But have you thought about changing your title from marketing manager to chief Cherry visionary officer?
I should change it. Something like that would be good.
It needs to catch on. It needs to. We just need chief visionary officers everywhere.
I don't think he's as much of a listener to our pod. This is like almost a running joke for us now after the Luber Manifesto. So
Josh Luber is a self-professed chief visionary officer.
Is that what he said?
That's his official role at Fanatics.
Yeah, and he gave it to himself. That's even the better part. Yeah,
the CVO.
Yeah. Chief Visionary Officer.
I'm just going to give that title to myself.
Done.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks again for your time, Charlie. It's been great.
No worries. Thanks, you guys. Thanks so much.
Cheers.